The man froze at the kitchen door, his breath stuck, as he saw a weak old woman being fed like a stranger by a maid in his own house, a moment that shattered everything he believed about control. His hand trembled on his chest, eyes wide in shock, because just months ago, this same woman ruled his world with strength, and now she looked fragile, silent, and almost forgotten in her own home. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. The truth behind this moment is far deeper than it looks, because what you are about to witness is not just a family scene, it is a story of power, neglect, guilt, and a truth that will change everything between these three people forever. The maid carefully lifted the spoon again, her movements calm, but her eyes heavy, as if she carried a silent burden, while the old woman struggled to even swallow properly. The man stepped inside slowly, confusion turning into discomfort, because something felt wrong. Something didn't match the image of control and perfection he always maintained. He looked around the bright kitchen, everything expensive, everything perfect, yet something invisible felt broken, like a silence that had been ignored for far too long. The old woman didn't even look at him, her eyes fixed down as if she had already accepted her place, as if she had stopped expecting anything from the man standing there. The maid noticed him but said nothing, just continued feeding gently, her silence speaking louder than words, creating a tension that filled the entire room. And in that quiet moment, the man realized something terrifying. This was not sudden. This was something that had been happening slowly, right in front of him. That same evening, he sat alone inside his luxury office, staring at the city lights through the glass. But for the first time, the power he once loved felt empty and meaningless. His mind replayed the kitchen scene again and again, the image of his mother struggling to eat, and suddenly all his success felt like a failure he could not escape from. A few months ago, this same office echoed with his authority, where he made decisions without hesitation, including the one that slowly pushed his own mother into silence. He remembered the day he hired the maid, not out of care but convenience, because he was too busy, too important, too distracted to notice what his mother really needed. Meanwhile, back at home, the maid helped the old woman to her room, her fragile steps slow, her eyes still empty, as if she had already given up expecting love. Inside the quiet bedroom, the old woman looked at an old photo frame, her fingers shaking slightly, remembering a time when her son used to sit beside her and talk. Back in the car, the man drove through the city in silence. No music, no calls, just a heavy realization building inside him that something had gone terribly wrong. The bright lights outside reflected on his face, but inside there was only darkness, because for the first time he wasn't running a business problem. He was facing himself. He tried to convince himself it wasn't his fault, that he provided everything, house, comfort, care, but deep inside, a voice kept asking, then why does she look so alone? And at that moment, the truth hit harder than anything. He didn't lose his mother suddenly. He lost her slowly, day by day, while he was busy winning the world. The next morning, he walked into the house earlier than usual, but everything felt different, like he was no longer the owner of the space, just a stranger observing a life he had ignored. In the kitchen, the maid was again feeding his mother slowly, patiently, But this time he didn't stay at the door. He stepped closer, his eyes fixed on every fragile movement. He noticed her hands shaking more than before, her breathing uneven, and suddenly it hit him. This wasn't just weakness, something was seriously wrong. Without saying a word, he asked the maid softly, his voice lower than ever, "Since when has she been like this?" And the question carried both fear and regret. The maid hesitated for a moment, then quietly replied, "Sir, it's been getting worse for weeks, but she didn't want to disturb you. She always said, 'You are busy.'" Those words cut deeper than anything because they exposed a truth he'd tried to ignore. His mother chose silence over asking him for help. That same moment, he rushed to her side, gently holding her hand for the first time in months. But she didn't react the way he expected. She didn't even look at him. Her eyes remained distant, as if she no longer recognized comfort in his presence, and that distance hurt more than any accusation ever could. Within minutes, he made a decision, calling his driver and preparing the car, because now it was no longer about work, meetings, or status. It was about time he had already lost. As he helped her into the car, carefully supporting her fragile body, a silent fear settled inside him. What if he was already too late to fix everything? At the hospital entrance, he rushed out of the car, calling for help, his voice shaking as nurses quickly brought a wheelchair, turning his controlled world into sudden chaos. Inside the emergency ward, doctors surrounded his mother, checking her pulse, her breathing, while he stood frozen outside, watching through the glass like a helpless stranger. For the first time in years, he had no authority here, no control, no power to fix things instantly, only fear growing inside him with every passing second. Minutes felt like hours as he paced back and forth in the hospital corridor, replaying every moment he ignored her calls, every time he chose work over her. Meanwhile, the maid sat quietly on a bench nearby, her eyes filled with concern, because she had seen this decline coming, but she was never in a position to force change. After what felt like forever, a doctor stepped out, his expression serious, and that single look was enough to make the man's heart sink before a word was spoken. Inside the doctor's cabin, the truth unfolded slowly. She is severely weak, malnourished, and emotionally withdrawn, each word hitting him like a quiet accusation. The doctor continued, explaining that this condition doesn't happen overnight. It builds over time, often when a person feels neglected, unseen, and emotionally alone. His mind went blank, because deep down he knew this wasn't just a medical issue. It was a result of his absence, his priorities, his silence in the relationship. Walking out of the cabin, he leaned against the wall, unable to stand straight, as one painful truth echoed inside him. She didn't just get sick. She slowly gave up. That same night, he sat beside her hospital bed, watching the machines blink softly, realizing this silence was heavier than any boardroom pressure he had ever faced. Her eyes remained half-closed, her breathing slow, and he gently held her hand. But there was no response, no recognition, just a distance that felt impossible to cross. Inside that quiet room, memories started flooding back, moments he once ignored, now returning with painful clarity, each one carrying a weight he couldn't escape. He remembered a night when she waited for dinner with him, but he never came, choosing a business meeting instead, telling himself he would make it up later. Another memory hit him harder. The day she tried to talk, but he cut her off mid-sentence, saying he was too tired, not realizing that moment mattered more than anything. Meanwhile, the maid stood outside the room, watching silently through the glass, knowing this man was finally seeing what she had witnessed every single day. Back inside, he leaned closer, his voice breaking as he whispered, "I'm here now. I'm not going anywhere." But the words felt late, painfully late. For the first time, tears rolled down his face without control, because no deal, no money, no power could undo the slow damage he had already caused. The machines continued their steady rhythm, but inside him, everything was collapsing, as he finally understood that neglect is not loud. It's quiet, slow, and deadly. And in that moment, sitting beside her fragile body, he made a silent promise. If given one chance, just one chance, he would fix everything he had broken. The next morning, sunlight entered the hospital
like a song that never
and for the first time, her fingers moved slightly in his hand, a tiny sign that gave him hope he didn't deserve.
I know time has
He
pulled
leaned
you
forward
farther
instantly,
to a
calling her
place
gently,
I cannot
his voice
reach,
filled with emotion.
but my heart still leaves
Can you
the
hear
door
me?
open
As if
for
he
a
was
dream
trying to
beyond
reconnect a
belief.
bond he had broken himself.
I'm
eyes
still
opened
waiting for
weak
your footsteps,
confused,
though I
and for a
know
brief
they'll
second,
never come.
his,
Holding on to broken
There was
echoes of a
like she
love
wasn't sure who he
already
was.
gone. I'm still waiting for your
because it
return,
proved
though the
something
stars
deeper
say
than
it's
human.
untrue.
It showed how
Somewhere
far their
deep
relationship
inside
drifted
this broken
over
heart,
time.
I still
Later that day,
belong
inside the doctor's
to
cabin, he listened carefully this time, not
People
as a busy
tell me
man,
keep
but
on
as a
moving,
son desperate
that
to
some endings
understand what
must
he
remain.
needed to do to fix this.
But how do I
The
stop
doctor explained
believing
clearly,
when your
she
name
needs
still
more than
calls my pain?
she needs emotional connection.
I'm still waiting for your
Things no one else
footsteps,
can replace.
though I know they'll never
Those
come.
words stayed with him.
Holding on to broken echoes of a
Realizing
love
that
already
recovery
gone.
wasn't just about
I'm still waiting for your return, though the stars say it's
that
untrue.
evening.
Somewhere
instead of
deep
returning to
inside
his
this
he
broken
went back
heart,
home,
I
walking
still
into the same house. But
belong
this
to
time,
you.
seeing it not as a place of success, but a place of failure. He entered her empty room, looked around at the silence, the untouched belongings, and slowly understood that luxury without love had
Maybe
turned this
hope
house
is
into
just
a
a
lonely
prison.
space.
Maybe
Standing
love
there
can
alone,
blind
he
the
made a
soul.
real decision.
But even
Not just a
knowing you
promise
won't
this
find
time,
me,
but a change
still
in action,
wait here,
knowing that redemption would not come from words, but from what he does next.
I'm still waiting
A few
for
days
your
later, he returned to
footsteps,
the hospital
though I
early,
know
not
they'll
in a
never
rush this
come.
time, but with calm
Holding on to
determination,
broken
carrying homemade
echoes
food
of a
instead of
love already
Work
gone.
Sitting
I'm still
beside him,
waiting
he
for
slowly
your
fed her
return, though
his
the
hands
stars
careful,
say it's
his eyes
untrue.
focused, trying to
Somewhere
rebuild
deep
the connection
inside this
through small
broken
actions
heart,
he
I
once
still
ignored. At first, she resisted slightly, unfamiliar with his presence in this role, but he didn't stop, staying patient, as if he was learning how to be her son again. Meanwhile, the maid watched quietly from a distance, noticing the change, because this was no longer the same man who once treated care as responsibility, not love. That same evening, instead of leaving, he stayed longer, talking softly about old memories, even if she didn't respond fully, hoping something inside her still listened. Inside the hospital corridor, doctors began noticing improvement, small but real, because emotional presence was doing what medicine alone could not. A week later, she was moved out of critical care, and for the first time, she looked at him a little longer, a faint recognition slowly returning in her eyes. That moment broke him again, but this time with relief, because it meant he still had time, not much, but enough to fix what he could. After discharge, he brought her home, but not to the same routine. He changed everything. Her room, her care, his schedule, making her his priority above all else. And as he sat beside her that night at home, holding her hand in silence, he realized
like a dream I can't hold on.
One big act.
And I fake a calm expression while my heart is coming.
A few weeks later,
undone.
the house felt
it's raining deep inside my heart,
but because of love.
But I don't
as
let
he now
it
spent
show.
his mornings
I just stand here in the silence while I watch you let me go.
He slowly walked.
You're walking with somebody else,
the same way
like I never crossed your mind,
creating a quiet,
and I'm drowning in this feeling that I'll never
One
leave
afternoon,
behind.
she finally looked at him properly and
I
whispered
could scream,
his
but what's the
name,
reason?
her voice weak but real.
You were never
And
really
in that
mine.
second, everything he fought
So I bury all the
finally felt
pieces
worthless. He
and
smiled
pretend
through
that
tears,
I'm
holding her
alright. It's raining
because
deep
this wasn't
inside
just
my
a
heart,
cover, it was from
but
him.
I don't let
No
it
finding
show.
its way back.
I just stand here in the silence while I
Meanwhile,
watch
the
you
maid
let me go.
nearby,
You're walking with somebody
knowing that this
else,
transformation
like I
wasn't
never
temporary.
crossed your
It was a
mind.
complete change.
And I'm drowning
in who he
in
had
this
become.
feeling
Days
that I'll
later,
never
at a small
leave
local clinic,
behind.
he donated quietly, not for attention, but because he now understood the value of care, especially for those who suffer in silence. Back at home that evening, he sat beside his mother again, not speaking much, just
Call your
being
name out loud.
because now he knew
I
that
won't ask
presence
you to
itself
stay
is
now.
the strongest form of love.
If you're happy where
He
you
no
are,
longer chased every meeting
I'll just
or
fade
deal because he
into
had
the
already learned the hardest lesson. Success means nothing
It's raining
if the
deep
people who
inside my
matter
heart,
feel alone beside you.
but I don't
And
let
as
it
he
show.
looked at her resting
I
peacefully,
just stand
one
here
truth
in
hit
the
him
silence
harder than
while I
ever.
watch
He
you
almost
let
lost
me
her,
go.
not to illness.
You're walking with somebody else,
Story
like
ends
I
here.
never crossed
But think
your
for a
mind,
When
and I'm
was the
drowning
last
in
time
this
you truly connected
feeling
with your parents without distraction? Like,
that I'll
subscribe,
never
and
leave
come back for the
behind.
next story that might stay with you forever.